see. It's we have one attendee, and it's a little bit past 3. So, but it's all staff. That's the good news.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, take it away.
Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see, we don't have to do the pledge. I'm not reading all this stuff. We're just gonna go, excuse me, let me right into item number 1, sewer liner and rehab 2021 update.
Yeah, so we do an annual sewer lining rehab projects. It's identified through our normal maintenance process when we video and clean our sewers. Then we put together what we call trouble spots and areas of concern. Those are further vetted, and then through the budgeting process, a project is created and handed over to the capital group. From there, I'll hand it over to talk about this year's sewer line rehab to I believe Ryan and Lito. So take it away.
Lito is going to be presenting this item. So with that, I'll just turn it right over to Lito.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Ryan. Okay, so let's see. Let's start with the first slide. All right. So the 2021 sewer lining and rehab, I wanted to give you guys or start off with some background information. So district has over 260 miles of gravity sewer lines. Majority of our sewer rehab are for our clay and ductile pipes. District has roughly 23 miles of DIP, ductile iron pipe, 172 miles of clay. Both of these materials have their pros and cons. The clay pipe has over a 100-year lifespan, sustainable and organic material, resistant to acids from wastewater, but unfortunately is brittle and prone to cracking. It's heavy, costly, susceptible to root intrusion. There's some examples over here. Longitudinal cracking or cracking in general, calcifying, ductile iron pipe on the lower left over here. It's got a 50 to 65-year lifespan. It's high strength, easy to install, cheaper than clay. The cons for ductile iron pipe, unfortunately, is that once the polyurethane coating on the interior wears off, the sulfides, acids, gases eats away at the pipe. So let's see. As AGM Mr. Gumpel mentioned, our collection crew typically will clean the 260 miles of our sewer lines once a year, and twice for more of our troubled areas. In the last 2 years, they have identified 44 segments that have deficiencies. Now these deficiencies these 44 segments is when I say segment, that means manhole to manhole. And these 44 segments roughly cover 85 or 8,600 feet. Now these deficiencies can either have cracking, root intrusion, as you see on top left, incrustation or calcifying from the soil, corrosion on the lower right over here. And then there's on the lower left is a lateral that offset it. So these are our typical deficiencies that we see in the 44 segments. And this, I shouldn't say typical, this is more on the extreme end, but these are the deficiencies that we'll see throughout the district when they're identified. Now the rehabilitation will be conducted typically with a trenchless method, installing a cured in place pipe. These CIPP liners are a fiberglass reinforced felt that is fused with resin, typically vinyl ester. The liner, when it's being installed, looks like a sock being placed into the manhole and shooting out through the main. And then the resin will start kind of sticking towards the walls and then it's blown from manhole to manhole. And then it's cured with steam, if it's steam or UV. Once the CIPP liner, once the CIPP liner is completed, the efficiency is restored or improved. The service life is obviously extended. With doing this as a trenchless method, this saves us from paving the roads, doing traffic control. And installing CIPP liner is effective, efficient, and cost-effective, especially in hard-to-reach areas such as easements. It reduces the disruption for the communities and our ratepayers. The typical liner can be installed manhole to manhole in about 4 hours and provides about a 50-year lifespan. With the volume being at about 8,600 feet, with the economy to scale or volume amount that we are doing, we project that this should be about $80 a linear foot, which is relatively low. And that's why we kind of group them. We wait maybe a couple years to do these lining projects to get that low volume cost. In comparison to open trenching, which is significantly a very expensive, time-consuming project, which typically costs about $700 a linear foot. On the next slide is our summary. We project that the engineer's estimate is about $800,000. We also have some examples of how it looks like when it's completed. On the top right, you have the incrustation on a clay pipe, and then after it's being cleaned, and then on the left is the finished product. We anticipate to advertise this project beginning tomorrow with an award date of March 16th. So be on the lookout. With that, directors, do you have any questions?
Yes, I have one. So you clean the pipe out. What about the roots that are penetrating into the pipe in the couple of cases that you showed us? I mean, the liner is there, but do the roots still come in between the pipe and the liner?
Yeah, that's a good question, Director Hernandez. So we typically have a chain, or it's kind of like a spear or a chain that hones it out or hones the pipe out. So we get it pretty clean, as you can see.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, the resin actually gets pushed out into the pipe, kind of filling the voids, helping to protect it from root intrusion. Again, like clay pipe is organic, so it's very porous in nature. So that's how the root kind of gets intruded through the joints and stuff like that. So that kind of helps kind of avoid that. So now you have this clay pipe that's, fused with this liner with filling up the voids, and then the joints are, the water is not really going to seep through anymore. Those roots aren't going to try to get at the sewage anymore.
Okay. Great. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I had a quick question. I didn't see maybe I missed it. I didn't see a breakdown of pipe sizes in that 8,600 feet.
We're pretty spread out. It's typically on our residentials, so it's going to be about 8 to 12 inches in range. It's none of our bigger lines. So 8-10, sometimes 12.
Okay.
Majority of the pipeline sizes will be 8-inch for these slip lining jobs.
Yeah, is there for ones that are close to their capacity, I guess lining would reduce the capacity a little bit. And with a lifespan of 50 years, is that going to be an issue for some of these lines that are near capacity?
So what we do in our process is we identify these projects in the slip lining process through ops, through their maintenance. And then we check them against our CIP and our basic development plans. So if we know, for example, we have a development coming in, they're going to replace that pipe in a couple years, or it's imminent, Then we'll take that out of the slip lining project and not do that, the affected areas to help do that. I won't say it's a perfect system, but we get probably 90 something percent of it correct. There, every now and then, the city changes land use or project status changes, and we're removing a pipe that was slip lined, 5-10 years ago. But
Yeah.
usually it doesn't happen that way.
Okay, thanks.
And can I just add in there that the liner that you see there in white has a very smooth surface, almost like of a PVC pipe.
Uh-huh.
And when you have a really corroded, say, ductile iron pipe that has all those bumps and ridges in it, it has a very high roughness value. And then when you have a new liner, that roughness value goes way down. So it actually, in many cases, even though you have a slightly smaller inside diameter, that roughness improvement gives you better hydraulics and flow through that pipe, and actually gives you more capacity.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. Okay.
So the board can expect to see that coming in March for a contract award, as it's going out to advertise right now. I believe next on the agenda is the CIP update, if we're ready to move on to that.
Before we do, I do have one more question that just jumped in my mind. That last slide you showed me where you had the offset, I think you said lateral offset.
Yes.
That was a pretty good void there. How big of a void can the liner span and still maintain its strength, I guess?
So when you have a lateral offset like that, there's a special top hat. Well, they call it a top hat, and you actually insert it into the lateral to fix that offset. And the camera kind of adds, an exaggeration of how it really is. But typically a top hat, and top hats are pretty rare. We only have 3 set up for this one, but prior to the last 2 projects, we've only had a total of 3 top hats throughout the district. Now we've got like 9 since we've been doing these rehabilitations.
Okay.
So yeah.
Director Hernandez, you know how they say the camera adds 10 pounds, and in sewer lines, the camera adds a lot more than that in separation visually. So,
Okay.
but also sometimes with these jobs, we'll also have spot repairs if necessary.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. Moving on to a capital improvement project quarterly update.
Okay, I'll take that one. You should see my screen right now, which is of the Vallecitos homepage.
Yep.
Just to navigate, to just familiarize yourself with where the quarterly updates get posted. Currently, we did post Q2 of 2021 update. So that is under engineering. If you click on engineering and you come down to the capital facilities cog in the wheel, active capital improvement projects, and you click on that, this will take you to the interactive map, which you can navigate through using these thumb tabs that identify geographically where the projects are located. But for the sake of this update, I'm just going to go up here to CIP project information. That'll break it down into a list format. So currently we have 14 projects identified, and right now we're in a bit of a transitional period where we have several projects coming out of the rotation as they're wrapping up construction and filing notice of completion. And then we got some newcomers to the list as well, which we'll talk about here in a second. A lot of the MRF headworks improvement, some of the smaller metal arc projects, including the headworks and the odor scrubber 1 replacement, are 2 which are cycling out. Another one cycling out of substantial capacity is the interceptor project, which if you click on the link, it'll take you to the actual project update page. As you can see, construction ended in December. We just released retention last week. So this project is, the board has already accepted it. So this will be the last quarterly update for this job. A couple of the newcomers I just want to highlight, Sage Canyon Tank Rehabilitation Refurbishment. The board just awarded contract on this project in January, as you'll remember. So construction is estimated to start in March. And Las Posas 10-inch water line replacement is currently in design and new to the list. Palos Vista pump station motor starter upgrades, new to the list. It has been awarded and contracts are currently being set up at the moment. And then 2 at Meadowlark of substantial size, one being the tertiary rehabilitation, structural rehabilitation repairs. It has been awarded. And we estimate to start that in March at Meadowlark. And then lastly, the sodium hypochlorite conversion from chlorine gas at Meadowlark is moving forward in design. We just received the draft preliminary design report right now. So that's on my desk for review. And really, as we go on each quarter, we add to the list, we take away from the list. Right now, CIP is pretty busy here at the district. So that's just a quick summary and update. Welcome all the directors of the board to visit this website to educate themselves on current CIP workload. And as I said, it is updated on a quarterly basis. If there's any questions on that, I can take that at this time.
No questions for me. Any? Craig?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much, Ryan. Next, the development project status update.
Yeah, so this is just a biannual update. The CIP, we do quarterly updates to the a committee and one annual update to the board, and that's done through one of our ordinances or policies. But the development service update, we just do 2 semi-annual updates, and this is the one of those updates. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to our supervisor, Elizabeth Lopez, to take it. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Great. So I'm going to share my screen. Can you see the exhibit?
Yes.
Development project status update. So this exhibit is a summary of the development projects our department here in Development Services is working on. The projects shown in green on the map and in the table are the projects that are currently in construction. The projects that are in like this light pink color are projects that are currently in plan check. And the projects in this blue color are projects that are in planning. So I'm going to zoom in so we can see this more clearly. So here's a better view of the list of projects currently in construction. We have identified what type of project it is, whether it's residential or commercial, a city CIP project, how many dwelling units are anticipated if it's a residential development, and then the anticipated water and sewer EDUs remaining to be collected for that project, which shows at the bottom here how much capacity fees we still anticipate collecting. So to date, we have about 454 water EDUs for $3.8 million that have not been collected for projects in construction, and 183 sewer EDUs for about $2.5 million for projects in construction. But as you drive around town, I'm sure you've probably seen some of the projects in construction. Discovery Village South is located west of Twin Oaks, between Bent and Twin Oaks, north of Craven. I'm sure you've probably noticed that construction. It's just north of the new hospital. San Marcos Highlands is another large residential development, also in construction. That is at the north end of Las Posas. So if you've been out in that end of San Marcos, you've probably seen that in construction. Those are some of them. Obviously the hospital, I'm sure everybody sees that as they're driving around town. So that's making a lot of progress also. I also wanted to note here on the fees to be collected where it's 0, it means they've already paid their capacity fees for water and sewer. Forgot to mention that. So there's a lot in construction. It's keeping everybody busy and it's a lot of fun. Moving down to projects currently in plan check. Some of these projects will shortly be moving to the construction list. The St. Paul 4-lot subdivision, it just went to the board earlier this month for approval of the construction agreement. So we're just waiting for plans to be signed. And once we receive those, our inspection staff will schedule a pre-con meeting, and then this project will move up to construction. I anticipate first quarter of this year, 2 board meetings for approval. You should be seeing Sunrise Oryx for a construction agreement. Likely you'll be seeing Starbucks this quarter. And Wood Springs Hotel, that should be moving to construction shortly. I believe that went to the board in December for approval. So these projects in plan check, we anticipate a total of 185 EDUs that are remaining to be paid for about $1.5 million. And for sewer EDUs, 192 at $2.6 million. Some of the projects here on this plan check category have already paid their capacity fees. For example, the Sunrise Oryx project, they paid all their fees in December, so it shows that they have nothing due. Coming down to planning projects, these are projects that may or may not move forward to plan check and to construction. Sometimes projects can be in this phase for a long time. I'm sure you're familiar with Newland Sierra. In the 4 months I've been here, I don't think there's been any progress on that, but it remains on the books. Some of these projects on this list, I do anticipate moving forward to plan check. University District North City Phase A. There's a water sewer study we're working on for a large 450 unit residential building over near Cal State San Marcos. So some projects on this list, I would anticipate definitely moving forward to plan check and to construction. Some of these projects could take 5 or 10 years to get to plan check and construction, or they may not move forward at all. But in these planning projects, we have over 4,000 EDUs for both water and sewer for a total of 37 million in capacity fees for water and about 63 million capacity fees for sewer. So with that, I can be available to answer any questions that you have.
Just to add a little bit of context, the green projects they're in constructions. Those capacity fees are probably imminent, and there's about maybe a 2-year plus window on a typical project between when it goes in construction and we collect those capacity fees. The ones that are in plan check, we always say it's out 5+ years probably by the time they're fully done. And of course, as Elizabeth mentioned, on the planning side, you just don't know. Some of them are going to move forward. I saw about 4 or 5 projects there that I know are going to go into plan check, but some of those projects may not go forward for quite a long time, or if ever. So good news with that is we have projects that drop off, and we have more projects that come on the list. It's a revolving door. So
it is. We have about 7 active water and sewer studies for projects in this planning phase. So we've seen a lot of new projects starting entitlements. So that's fun to see, and it'll be good to see them. Hopefully, all more projects move forward to plan check.
All right. Has there been any movement on that main square number 45?
no, there's been nothing. Elizabeth, I haven't seen anything at least.
Yeah, no,
No, I haven't either.
that's been years since it's been on there, but I'm familiar with that one.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions?
I've got a question. The Sunrise Oryx, that's the one off of Mission, right?
It
Over in
is Borden.
Borden.
Yes. So if we look at it on the map, try to find it for you.
Used.
It's on the east side along the freeway,
Yeah.
right by Escondido. It's off of Barham, not
Arham, sorry. Yes.
Barham,
right.
that's what I meant. Sorry.
So did
Barham.
I.
Yeah,
You
so
guys are both-
I drove by there this morning, and it looks like there's activity on that. I think
Yeah,
you've got it shown in plan check.
It is in
Yes,
plan check.
Go ahead.
I do anticipate we're wrapping up plan check, and it should be coming to the board for construction approval soon. So here it is in right here, number 25 Sunrise. So here's Barham. And then over here to the east is Auto Parkway and Escondido.
Yeah,
I believe the city of San Marcos issued the grading permit probably about a year ago. So they should be on site. They should be grading. They might even be to vertical construction by now. So what
Yeah,
we'll be bringing,
I think they're still grading. That's what I saw this morning.
okay,
Yeah, we
Yes.
anticipate bringing that project to the board here,
probably
March,
February or March.
February or March. Actually, I think, isn't there a draft agenda? Don't we have it in the draft agenda in the next? It may be going in the next agenda back.
That's the plan. They just need to submit one more document to us.
Yep. So we've been waiting on the developer for quite a bit on that, so.
okay.
Just a general question. What's the minimum size of project that you list on the development? Do you have kind of a standard of the smallest size?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So here on this exhibit, once it regenerates, we generally show the projects that are probably maybe 3 for residential, maybe 3 parcels or more. So subdivisions, parcel maps. We don't show the smaller projects like single family homes or the tenant improvement projects, very many of them for any commercial properties doing renovations. But we did add to the list this year just a total of single family residence projects. We have 9 of them we're currently working on, but they're not shown on the map. But we did tabulate them here. That was a new addition.
Go and scroll down a little bit because you also show the tenant improvement projects on there and at least the amount of EDUs they're creating. There's 20 projects.
In construction right now with
Construction, yeah.
3.5 water EDUs.
Good.
Due, not paid yet. So good question.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, welcome.
All right. Anything further? Any other comments? Let's see, do we have any other comments?
No, there's nothing from. the
Other
attendee.
business by anybody? If not, James, would you stay on the line after we all close here? I have a question for you.
Sure. Once you close the meeting, I'll stop the recording and then I'll stay on the line for you.
Okay, great. All right.
All right.
I think we're done, folks. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
I'll stay on the line, Director Hernandez.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.